How do you see what you're teaching moving east? Is the East Coast more open to education as much as California is? Because I don't see it quite landing there yet, like in New York.
Oh, you're going to bring up the East Coast, West Coast thing? Because
Yes.
there's definitely that going on in cannabis. This is just my observations. Because the West Coast, we've had these things, we've been doing it a long time. We're pretty much far down the road as far as knowledge, but still people just, it's cannabis, it's legal. They maybe don't have a lot of the information. What I'm seeing on the East Coast is because now they're coming into their own medical programs and their own legal, access, that all of a sudden they're like, woo, look at all this big shit we're doing. We're amazing. And it's like, yeah, we've been doing it 25 years already. Welcome to the party. But it seems like they're excited with the fact that they are where they are, but they don't quite understand. They don't know what they don't know. Let me just put it that way. They don't know what they don't know, and they're not really seeking that because they're on their own journey. So some of us over here on the West Coast go, you guys could, if you knew a few things, you could maybe mitigate some of the issues that we see that you're probably heading into. But it's also kind of fun because we've laid the groundwork on the West Coast. So now the East Coast is coming in, they're hitting it hard. They're just with it. It's happening. Everything's, moving smooth. So sometimes I just curtsy and say, you're welcome for the opportunity to rock and roll.
Oh God, I love that, because I feel the West Coast, originally we didn't see it as a brand or a product. It was a plant. Yeah. I think the East Coast has got straight to brand, right? It's the packaging, it's how we're going to sell it, the look of this. Because even in the New York Times, they had Kimmy Styles on there. It was amazing, and her interior design. But it was interior design of how people are experiencing cannabis. But nothing about the benefits of the plant. Look at this gorgeous, beautiful interior design with the chandeliers or the neon and wood and stuff. But it wasn't about the plant. And so I see New York as being what New York is we're going to make it beautiful, right? And then we are going to be the style and taste masters of the whole thing. So Heather, I don't know what we're going to see in 2 years of what cannabis is. I mean, what do you think? Okay, so let's move forward 2 years. Nurse Heather, we now have New York running into the market, creating these brands, and possibly bringing them to California. Where's that going to be to our legacy and the OGs and everything else? Where is that all going to go? And what do you see in 2 years? That's a big question. That's a big ass question.
Yeah, no, at some point I would really love to see, the ability for us to do the interstate commerce where we can go, we can be selling the Humboldt strain in New York. We can, have access to that New York fire down here in San Diego. And so I see I would like in 2 years for that to be the case, although I recognize in the cannabis industry, objects in the mirror are further away than they appear. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll be heading toward that in a couple of years. But honestly, I was just talking to some friends in New Mexico, and they just said that the state of New Mexico just issued 1,200 new licenses. And making New Mexico they have more dispensaries per capita than any other state in the U.S. right now.
Even Oklahoma?
Exactly. And so that was
God.
A little bit shocking. I'm like, wow, that's that. But now they're trying to, where before they had about 25 dispensaries. And that was it for years. Now they've got all this competition. So one of the things he was saying to me was, we're having to do billboards for the first time ever because we have competition. So the marketing piece. The other part of that is he goes, at this stage of the game, people in New Mexico and Arizona and so forth, they can purchase cannabis from Washington or California for cheaper than they can grow it in New Mexico. And because they're new into this market of legal cannabis, they're actually, he said, I wish that we could do that, right? I wish that we could purchase this less expensive plant medicine that they have in Washington and bring it here. But instead, there's like this shortage of cannabis. So I think when you see this surplus in some places and lack in others, it just leads to this. We need to be able to move cannabis around, put it where it needs to be. And then also for the brands, again, you know, Emerald Triangle cannabis in Florida and Florida blueberry and Oregon, you know, I mean, just having this ability to get those brands all over. So it's not just New York is killing it with the really beautiful brands, but you can only get it in New York. I would like to see in the future that going nationwide.
That's I love all that fact about New Mexico and you tying it all together, because what I've noticed is taste profiles are very different. East Coast and West Coast. East Coast right now, they like sticky, dank, diesel, gassy, you know, super sour, granddaddy perps, just super sour diesel, right? Here we had a little bit of a trend going towards, I think Blue Dream was the first one, the biggest one that first came out. It's basically the Coca-Cola that came out, right? And then we started into those fruitier ones, gelatos, sherbets, right? With Mario Guzman bringing those things. And so right now we're kind of in a hybrid, a little bit fruity, a little fuel, but not as much fuel. And land races seem to have just disappeared. You don't see a really good OG Kush anymore. And what I'm hoping is that California is we are home of the avocado, the orange, we are the salad bowl, and people want our artichokes and our avocados on this. Hopefully, like you said, interstate, one day we will be able to teach them about sun grown, because outdoor doesn't even hit it in New York. They don't understand what outdoor is. It's all indoor to them. That's the only way they see cannabis as being grown, right?
Yes.
Of course, now there's going to be hoops and things like that in Hudson Valley and so in New York, but there is not that knowledge of the OG Humboldt, like you said, Mendocino, all that area, beautiful green flower. And some of our friends have put their farms of fallow in the last couple of years, like Kevin Jawdry, right? Yeah. Which is the saddest. When someone you know who's been growing and doing the golden tarp and most beautiful flower had to put his farm on fallow because of our overproduction, but also the fact that most consumers don't even have no idea that there's an indoor and outdoor. All they see is wherever this is, and 90% of the time is indoor, right? So it would be really great to bring all that legacy to the East Coast.